Well, hey, everybody. Hey, look at here. I got to bring the energy because it's getting late and I'm getting tired. But look, I got to recap. I meant better late than never. I got to recap today. What was today? I want to say day 4. Don't get ahead of myself. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Day 3 of the 7-day double your productivity for life challenge. And FOMO is real, fear of missing out. You got to get in there. Today was pure fire, fire. So interestingly, the topic today was about getting into peak flow state. How to squeeze every ounce of potential out of yourself requires knowing how to, and repeatedly, routinely, religiously getting into flow state, a peak flow state. Now, we saw great athletes do it, like Michael Jordan and Wayne Gretzky and Gabby Douglas and Pele. You could go on and on and on. But if we're not great athletes, but we want to be great at life, we too can get hot. And when athletes aren't doing really well, we say that they are going through a slump. As you can look at trends and techniques and what we have in common with when an athlete is in a peak flow state, and when they're not, which is a slump. And if you find yourself in a slump because of what's going on this year or going on in your life or whatever, then there's a scientific way to get you out of the slump. So it's interesting that the topic today was flow state or peak flow state. And that's exactly what we did. Jody, for an hour and 40 minutes, she and I went back and forth, just dropping nuggets of wisdom one after the other. Now, you don't have to take our word for it. You can go in and look at the comments and look at the home play. Again, we don't call it homework, we call it home play. And look at the people who are taking action to get into peak flow state, to be all that they can be. But that wasn't the only topic today. We were talking about focus, flow state, and fewer choices. Did you know that most people think freedom comes from having an abundance of choices? But I would have you consider that too many choices cripple you. They create a prison for you. You ever heard of paralysis of analysis? Yeah, people get paralyzed when there's too many options. You ever had a group of people try to pick where to go to eat? Oh my God, they can't even pick a restaurant. A lot of times 2 people can't. Me and my wife can't even decide. And when you do pick a restaurant and get there, then you can't decide what to eat. These are not life-altering decisions. And decision fatigue is real. You're wearing yourself out. Your body, your brain don't know the difference between a significant decision, a life-altering decision, and a minor one like what to wear or what to eat or where to go to eat. So you wear your brain out with all these insignificant things. And then when it's time to make a life-altering decision, you're just done. You don't push your chips into the center of the table. You are all in, all done, out. So you have to protect that by limiting your choices. Well, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Freedom is not a lack of boundaries. Freedom occurs when there are boundaries. And I could go on and on about that. Well, I'll give this one example. I said it before and I'll say it again. The best example I heard about freedom coming from boundaries is a guy that described it like this. He says, if I have a small toddler daughter, and my backyard runs adjacent to a busy interstate. He said, if there's no boundary between my backyard and that interstate, she has no freedom to play in the backyard without continuous supervision. But if I put up a fence, if I put up a barrier, if I put up a boundary, something that keeps her, that I know keeps her from getting in the middle of that busy interstate, now she's free to play in that backyard whenever she wants without us watching her. See, the boundary creates the freedom within the boundary. So what you've got to do is be obsessive, if that's obsessive, with getting rid of too many choices. So flow state, fewer choices. They go together. You'd have to go watch the training. I'm not going to relive the training, but I will say this. The reason I know the training was powerful, not just because we flowed for an hour and 40 minutes, dropping all these bombs, but when we challenge people to get into flow state and limit their choices, the number of people that made a decision that they were going to take action and they crushed the procrastination monster. I said, a monster grows when you feed it. If you feed a procrastination monster, it will eat you and your dreams and your wealth and your health and your relationships. Because the road to hell is paved with good intentions, and good intentions are just that. It's action that's going to take you home to get you what you want to need. So people are taking action. We broke agreements that people had with excuses, with procrastination, with too many choices. Literally, if you looked at their comments, you could see it. Once you learned it, it's amazing. Once you learn something, it's called reticular activation. You ever bought a new car, and then after you bought that car, you just saw that car everywhere? It wasn't that it suddenly came into existence because you bought it. You just didn't notice it. You activated the part in your brain that notices it now. Well, we taught it, and then I could see, even though I was in there teaching it, I could see the people were like, well, I can't do this because I can't decide, blah, blah, blah. And he listed all the choices, right? What do I got to do to go get 1,000 customers? I got a better question. What would it take to go get one customer? Because I can scale 1 to 1,000, but I can't scale 0 to 1,000, because any number times 0 is, I didn't say that'd be a pop quiz in math. It's still 0. 0 times anything is 0. You can't scale 0. So go get 1. So you can scale small to bigger, but you can't scale nothing, because nothing from nothing leaves nothing, the way the song goes. Okay. So we got them to limit their choices and just do one thing. Well, I got to do this and this and this. No, you don't need all of those steps until you do this. It's like, I'm going to bake a cake, but I don't have eggs. What am I going to do? Go to the store and get eggs, or don't bake the cake. So what we did is we got them out of all the choices and gave them a binary choice. Am I going to do it, or ain't I? Listen, that'll change your life right there. I don't want you to not go and look at the whole thing, but I'm trying to give you enough to go and check it out. That'll change your life. Am I going to do this, or ain't I? If you say you ain't, quit talking about all the steps. The steps don't matter. The choices don't matter. If you ain't going to do it, it don't matter. Eliminate it. Listen, we talked yesterday that everything requires a deadline. And if it ain't worth setting a deadline for, it ain't worth doing. It ain't worth talking about. It certainly ain't worth sitting around worrying about, well, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do it? Who cares? It's like me trying to figure out how I'm going to climb Mount Everest. I ain't going to climb Mount Everest. I have no desire. I respect anybody that's got discipline to train like that and do it. I have no desire to go climb Mount Everest. So it don't matter whether I figure out what the next step is. The next step is quit talking about it, because I ain't going to do it. So if you're talking about doing something and all the options, just quickly right now decide, am I going to do it or ain't I? If you are going to do it, then pick the next thing. That's it. That's the only decision. And it don't even have to be the right next thing. We talked about how General Colin Powell said, too many people are trying to make right decisions. It's easier to make a decision and then make it right. Just make the decision and make it right. Most of the decisions we're making are not life or death. In our business and our life, they're really not life or death. Like, where to go eat, just pick something, right? And so if it's an insignificant decision, literally use randomness, flip a coin, draw a straw, set a 60-second timer. And when it's done, just pick something. Where are we going to go eat? Who cares? Eat here. I got an idea. Let's don't go out, because can't nobody decide. It's getting on my nerves, right? And then save that energy for getting in the peak state and doing the most important thing in your life that's going to move the needle in your life. That's going to take you from point A, which is where you are, and point B, which is where you want to be. Then you know that too many choices have been causing you to put off and procrastinate. So today, I want to just leave you with this. Decide the thing you've been worried about doing. Are you going to do it, or ain't you? Because if you ain't, quit talking about it. And if you are, don't worry about step 483. Everybody wants to see all the stairs when they go to climb the staircase. You only need light shined on the next step. And what do you do when you get to that step? You shine the light on the next one. You don't need to see all 43 steps. Everybody thinks they need to see it all. Seeing is believing. No, believing is seeing. Move. The number one way to see stuff. We did go in there and talk about the difference between intelligence and experience. I won't tell you what experience will make it. I will. I'm giving a lot more away, because it's day 3. Tomorrow's day 4. What'll be hump day for a 7-day challenge. It's time to come on. If you've been watching any of these and you think that's cute, that's clever. No, it's not. It's the real deal. It's stuff's going to change your life. So I'll leave you to this. What's the difference between intelligence? And intelligence will get in your way. It'll cause you to overthink stuff, right? And the key to life is thinking less and doing more. Matter of fact, if I could help you, I would get you to think less and do more. Most things need to be, you need to find a proven mentor with a proven system, and quit worrying about all the other ways that might work, and find one thing that worked for one guy. And then he showed other people and it worked for them. And he says, hey, I don't know. There might be other ways. This is how you can teach people. It's like, look, I'm not going to teach you 100 ways. I'm going to teach you one way. Well, what about the other ways? I don't know about the other ways. Go find somebody to teach you all the other ways, but they probably haven't ever done anything. So what if I've proven that one way has made me successful, and then I taught a bunch of other people that's made them successful? Hey, it might work for you too. Hey, there's probably a bunch of other ways, and you can spend your whole life researching those ways and never get nowhere to do nothing. Think less. Let somebody else do the thinking. Let somebody else, smart person that is trial and error figured all this out, and they lay out a system for you, and you just take it and run with it, and it becomes unconscious. You don't even need to think. I promise you, when Michael Jordan was hitting game-winning shots, he wasn't thinking. He wasn't thinking about what to do with his wrist and what would do. I promise you, talk to anybody got into state in sports, they weren't thinking, they were doing. And no better athlete than I was. There were moments where I got into flow states, even in just pick up basketball. They were fleeting because I'm not a good athlete in football and baseball. There were times when you couldn't throw a baseball, I couldn't hit. That was rare. There was one game, I crushed the ball. You couldn't throw it where I couldn't hit it. I briefly got into flow state and I wasn't thinking about mechanics. When I was shooting a basketball and couldn't miss it, I literally thought if I throw it in the air, some magical force is going to take it in and go. There was no thought about mechanics. If you think about, and you know what happened? Everybody that was better athletes than me started feeding me the ball because I couldn't miss. And then I got to thinking about it. And then I started throwing up bricks. And then that was the end of that little run. See, I got to thinking about it. So I said I won't talk all night, but you got to go watch the training. But the opposite of flow is a slump. And the slump is you got doubts. You got all this garbage in your head. You're thinking about the mechanics too much. What's the difference between intelligence and experience? Intelligence makes you sound smart at a cocktail party. That's it. It'll feed your ego. Experience will make you money and put money in your bank account. So you decide what you want. Ego, bank account. Ego, bank account. Intelligence, experience. Intelligence, you're just born with it or you ain't. Maybe you can get smarter by learning stuff, but it's sitting around knowing a bunch of stuff and not being able to do anything smart. Not according to my daddy. You know what his definition of smart was? He said, that boy's smart. That means he'd get up and hustle. That don't mean he could do a math equation. I promise you that. Daddy said he's smart. That meant he'd hustle. That's what smart is. That's street smart. How do you get experience? Failing, getting up, doing, trying, being. All right, how long did I talk? I was going to go on here for a little while. I'm all fired up now. Hey, go to doublemyproductivity.com and sign up. We got a book. We got some bonuses. We're studying. We got a special announcement tomorrow, like more special than what we've done. So we got a special announcement. The only way you're going to find about it is come on. Come on. Come on, Cletus. Come on. Come on. You're walking over, but you're living back. And anybody that don't know what that means, I apologize to your face right now. Goodbye.